Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're all having a great evening so far. Welcome to another Second Story Press event. We're so glad you can join us for the launch of Sophie Labelle's new YA novel, Wished Upon a Satellite. Right here. My name is Michaela, and I'm the marketing coordinator at Second Story Press. Wherever you're tuning in from, we're so thrilled you can join us. We'll be getting started shortly. All of us are situated on different territories, but the women of Second Story Press would like to acknowledge the ancestral lands on which we work and live. The building that houses our office at 20 Mott Street is situated in traditional territories, including those of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, Métis, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We at Second Story have been privileged to work with Indigenous authors, illustrators, editors, and other collaborators in this publishing house, and we hope that the books that we produce here can in some ways contribute to the ongoing reconciliation process. We would like to work with more Indigenous creators, editors, and educators, and we are committed to making those connections happen. Before I pass this along to Gillian, I have a few housekeeping details to go over. The format for this evening will include a discussion between Sophie Labelle and SSP's managing editor, Gillian Rodgerson. At the end of the discussion, there should be time for a short Q&A. We do have live comments turned off, but you do have questions, please head to Sophie Labelle's artist page on Facebook to post them there. Tonight's event is co-hosted by one of our favorite local Toronto bookstores, Glad Day Bookshop. They are the longest running LGBTQ bookstore in North America. Stop by Glad Day to pick up a copy of Wish Upon a Satellite or visit their website. If you visit the store tomorrow at 7 p.m., Sophie will be doing an in-person signing. So you can stop by and say hello and get your copy signed. If you're not based in Toronto, you can order Wish Upon a Satellite from your local bookstore or from our website at www.secondstorypress.ca. Until May 11th, we're doing a spring preview sale where all our new spring 2022 titles are 15% off. So now on to our main event. I'm happy to pass this along to Gillian Rodgerson, Second Story Press's managing editor extraordinaire. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you, Michaela. My guest tonight is Sophie Labelle. Sophie is an internationally renowned visual artist and author from the South Shore of Montreal in French Canada. She's the trans cartoonist behind Assigned Male, a webcomic about a group of queer and trans teens that's been running since 2014 and has touched millions of readers. And she now lives in Finland. It's such a pleasure to have you here tonight, Sophie. I'm really happy to be talking to you. Yeah. So let's get started. So welcome back home to Canada for a brief visit.
Thank you.
So tell us about your new book, Wish Upon a Satellite. I think that your longtime fans will recognize some of the characters.
Yeah, well, the goal was to, for my, this is my fourth novel that I wrote, and the goal was to mix up things a little bit, like shake up everything. I wanted to write something that had more drama happening, I guess, because my goal when I started writing youth literature was to get the same vibe as the Babysitters Club, for example, but with trans and queer characters, I think people who have read both will recognize the attempt to create a universe in which characters are just there to have a good time at the end of the day, and yeah, as I wanted to touch maybe more mature audiences, I wanted to write a story in which there was more intense things happening, just to touch on these issues a bit more. I wanted my readers to feel more involved, if I may say. The novel I wrote right before that was the complete opposite experience. The idea was, I asked myself, would be the most boring storyline possible, yeah, during which I could, like, have characters be themselves, and yeah, what happened was that in that novel, the main character was just doing some kind of bump, what's it called in English, a spelling bee,
Oh,
spelling bee contest. But it's a dictation contest. We do that in French Canada. It's a big
okay.
thing. We do dictation contest, and so
Okay.
the goal was to have like the story that had the less drama in it,
Mm-hmm.
and have fun with it. So yeah, Wish Upon a Satellite is like the complete opposite.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama. But I think it's interesting. The thing that I think is significant about the book is that Steffi and Ciel and Liam are all trans, but that's not the focus of their lives. That's not the drama of their lives. They have this like high school drama, they have relationship troubles, they have assignment deadlines. And so, just like every student in high school. And I'm wondering how important do you think it is for trans kids to see characters like this who have complex lives, who have, all sorts of different things going on, but the drama in their life isn't, oh, I'm trans?
Yeah, I think it's super important, of course, to have stories in which there are trans characters without the main focus of the story being their transness. So, of course, that's been one of my goals since the beginning when I started these stories, to have stories about trans characters that didn't revolve around their transness. Sometimes I make a lot of comics in which characters will mention their transness, but it's often more to set the joke than anything else. My main objective is really to empower trans people through that representation, and yeah, I've been experimenting a lot with that objective, obviously. Because when I started doing my comics online, it was more I was trying to create tools to empower trans people. I was trying to create stuff that they could use in their everyday life to help against transphobia or anything. So there was more of this activism in it, I guess. But the more I go, the more I write stories, the more I the more I take a step back, and I feel it happens less and less in my work that that there's this educational aspect to it, and yeah, I think it's also part of my own healing as a trans person. For many years, I felt more like I needed to, as if the ignorance that transphobes exhibit, for example, was my own responsibility to ease off. It was my responsibility as a trans person to educate and stuff like that. And I think it comes with healing and empowerment that I get to write these stories in which there's only trans characters, and it doesn't, the story isn't about their transness per se.
And you don't have to represent every trans person in the world either. So you can just, and I mean, the other thing that's interesting is the other novels, the Ciel novels, the first two were written in French. And I believe Wish Upon a Satellite was originally written in English. And do you tell stories differently when you're writing in French and writing in English?
Oh God, yes, definitely. Um, I feel my sentences are shorter in English, which is a good thing, because it's my second language. I actually learned English after Spanish, so I guess it's my third language.
Wow.
And yeah, maybe some of the viewers tonight, the a lot of the time when I give talks, people don't exactly realize that, like before hearing me speak, that English is not my first language. Uh, Mostly given that, my comics are mostly read in their English version. But yeah, that's the translation. The original language of my comics, and my work in general, most of my work, I guess, is in French. And it's funny because right before we went live, I was just moderating slightly on my page, because it's like, every instant job basically.
Uh-huh.
And there was this there was this person, on one of my comic strips, who was like, like, this is insanity. Uh, I'm so glad I'm not American, like, because that person was assuming that I was American.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and yeah, it's just very satisfying, how wrong they are. But yeah, the process is very different for me. Writing in English, writing in French, I feel, that, I self-censor myself in different ways depending on the language.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, I feel I'm more direct in English, because I have less synonyms, maybe.
Okay, I see. I understand.
Maybe it's more a stylistic thing, but yeah, in French, I'm constantly, erasing words, and like just trying to put that back, to
Hmm.
a more, to a simpler, uh, sentence and stuff like that. While in English, it's literally the opposite. Always feel like, I, I I need to do the opposite work to be more precise. But
But I imagine writing a comic is also good for that, because the speech in comics you can't use whole long paragraphs. Your characters have to be very direct. So I imagine does that influence the way you write as well?
yeah, well, especially comics for social media.
Mm-hmm.
Before doing comics for social media, I was mostly, working on my comic strips on paper. And
Okay.
the fact that it's on social media, it really, like, it requires to be a lot clearer. It
Mm-hmm.
requires to be shorter, more incisive. I don't have any space for, anything that's superficial. That's, that if there's a sentence that I can do without, I need to. And when I started my work as a cartoonist, that was a big issue, because I was always trying to, to be more precise, to go exactly where I wanted to. And it does bring me some hate sometimes, because, I only have 3 or 4 frames to say the thing I want to say, or to tell a joke I want to tell. And yeah, sometimes there are aspects to some issues, for example, that I cannot cover within these 3 or 4 frames, and the medium requires it on social media. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that, in social justice communities, and in general, when we're talking about marginalized groups, there's this big emphasis that's put on telling all the right things at the right moment. And so I do get a lot of hate for that, because sometimes my comics are too short, they don't cover everything at the same time, which is something that writing novels does reconciliate me with, because well, first, I don't need to, have the entire focus of a page or a chapter on one specific thing. It can be more fluid, and allows me to elaborate on certain ideas in ways that I cannot do with my comics. And yeah, that's why I find that writing these novels really helped me write the comics, because I have some kind of balance between both.
And I mean, it's interesting you're saying what you were saying about other people kind of being critical of you're not saying enough or not saying the exact right thing or something like that. And I mean, it's interesting, the characters in your novels, they live in Montreal, they live in a pretty supportive community, and they have supportive families and friends and things. And I know that it's not like that for a lot of trans people in the world. And so I'm wondering, do you feel some kind of responsibility in the way that you're portraying trans lives? I mean, do you have a lot of reaction from other trans people who say, well, my life isn't like that?
That doesn't happen often, I have to
Oh,
say.
good. I'm glad.
I don't know. Maybe it's the tone that I have that makes it clear that I'm not portraying reality necessarily, and I'm not necessarily, I don't want to create any type of encyclopedia of what it is like to be trans. You often hear that this documentary will show you exactly what it is like to live life as a trans person, and it's very far from that. My work, I think a lot of people will arrive to it expecting it to be that, because that's what they've been used to. Every time you see a trans person on TV, it always turns into some kind of documentary on trans lives, and so yeah, I think it's pretty clear that it's not what I'm doing. It's more of there's more social commentary. There's more. All I want is an alibi to talk about these things. My characters are often, alibis to talk about certain issues that are dear to me, and I don't. I would see myself, talking about harsher realities in the future, especially in my novels. You've read the work I've been working on lately, so that's already a bit less ideal for the trans character, and it's I still have a lot of things that I want to say about trans issues and how trans people are treated in the world.
I know that, I mean, in the characters in your story, as I said, they come from they're in a pretty supportive community and have supportive parents and things, but we know that not every trans kid is in that situation. And what kinds of things do you think I mean, this is a huge question, but what kinds of things do you think can protect trans kids so that they can, have a chance to grow up to be happy, healthy, well-grounded human beings?
Well, it's so many things that need to work together, in my opinion. I'm just thinking of, like, it's very close to me because I just lived it. But I just spent the week visiting elementary schools to talk
Oh,
about my work.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm in Canada, actually. I just like managed to put all the things happening in Canada at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So I was launching a book in French 2 weeks ago, and then I spent a week in Gaspésie, in eastern Quebec, and yeah, I was visiting these elementary schools for a literary festival,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I was there mostly, to talk about comics, to talk about literature to these kids, and of course, I would eventually talk about what my stories are about, what characters they're about, and yeah, there was hardly any classroom in which there wasn't, there wasn't some people who opened up about how close to them these issues were.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. We had there was two classrooms, actually two classrooms with trans kids in them. I visited about 15 classrooms in a week. That was very intense. Um, More than that,
Yeah.
actually. So yeah, 2 out of 15 is still, the census numbers came out last week. Yeah, have you heard of it? The census?
Tell me.
Okay, the Canadian census included for the first time a question about gender nonconformity, about identifying outside of your gender assigned at birth, and we finally have numbers in Canada for like how much of the population identifies as another gender than the one they were assigned at birth,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was exactly 0.3. So yeah, that's one kid in every if there's like 40 students per classroom, that's too many kids. But if there are 40 kids per classroom, it's pretty much one kid out of 4 classrooms. So yeah, that's a
And
lot.
those are significant numbers. And I
Mhm.
think what that shows us is, I mean, I'm sure that there, have always been kids who felt like that, but maybe the difference now is that they feel that they can say it at a younger age. And that's amazing. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
wasn't done with your question, actually. This was just the introduction to my answer, because you were asking, what would help these kids, and yeah, I think that meeting a trans person in the flesh is actually a really important thing for a lot of them. I know that I started thinking about transitioning after meeting another trans person. That's literally what happened, and it happens so often in our communities that it's a contact with a trans person and seeing that it's not just in on TV, on news segment. It's not just urban legends about she-males and stuff like that, and just to see a trans person living their life, and whatever they do in their life, I guess. I think it helps a lot of people to put make their it opens up possibilities for them. I
Mhm.
think that's crucial.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. I mean, I know as a lesbian myself, when I was a young woman, every time there was, a lesbian in a book or on TV or, excitement in my real life. It was such an amazing feeling, because it's like, oh, there's another person who can understand and who has this experience. And so I think it's probably was great for those kids having you in the classroom and reading your books and having access to your comics and stuff. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, I've been handing out a lot of books because these schools don't have a lot of budget for books. Oh my God. I visited some libraries. It was all rural schools, so it was really in the countryside, and some libraries were mostly some piles of comics from the 70s held together with duct tape.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So you have we have just a little bit more time. So the other thing, and I don't know whether you have an answer for this or not, but I'm wondering how cis people can be good allies to our trans friends and neighbors and students. And
well, it's very simple, actually. You just need to wear a pin, and that's pretty much it. You're done.
One of your pins from your website, right?
The thing, I don't sell pins because that would have been shameless. Oh my God. No, but it's in the details. I think people don't realize the power that opening up space for us for other realities, the impact that it can have on children. I was talking, about how, for example, trans men can be pregnant, or I was talking about trans parenthood in my talks, because me and my husband are thinking about starting a family, and just talking about it was, you could tell that the children never considered it a reality, a possibility, and I think that gendered language holds a lot more power than we want to give it credit. Because in language, we can make realities exist literally, and it's the same when it goes with when we're talking about including people outside the binary, for example, or talking about in drugstores they call sanitary pads like feminine hygiene and stuff like that. It's you can tell by how it pisses off haters and transphobes that it touches on something very very fundamental about how we perceive the world and how we think the world, and thinking a world in which trans people are included is a really good first step. And I don't expect everyone who considers themselves an ally to do volunteering for trans organization, or give trans organizations money or stuff like that. It's great if they do. It's great if they can do it. But something very simple that anyone can do is to create space in their language for trans people. And I think it really helps to think, to imagine a future in which trans people are just part of our lives.
Part of the community, part of the wallpaper.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think if there was an audience, that's where they would have gone like, oh. No, there is an audience. You cannot hear it, of course. It messes with me, for real. I know I'm a lot funnier in front of an audience because, I can hear them, react to what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'm probably telling you less jokes than I usually tell not a live audience. But
Yeah.
yeah, you'll have to come tomorrow at Glad Day, I guess.
Yes. So now you're living in Finland,
Mhm. The
and
reason that I'm looking at over there is because I'm monitoring to see if there's any question on my
okay.
page. There's
Are there
none.
any?
No,
Okay.
people are just being very nice in the comment, being like, "Go you, you're amazing" and stuff like that. And like, I need questions. I need questions.
Well, you are amazing, so they're right. So
What were you about to say?
tell me about your life in Finland.
Oh yeah, I live in Finland now. um, well, I didn't
Are you
move there for the climate, that's for sure.
okay?
Sometimes I
Your
love my
husband is
husband, but
Finnish, is
I
that
could
right?
finish, yes. So yeah, Finnish, could have been Spanish, I don't know, somewhere warmer. Um, just kidding. I love him.
Oh,
Uh, and yeah, it's special. It makes me realize how what is North American about me, because
mhm.
as a French Canadian, we from the moment we're born, we know we're different. We know we're the minority. We know uh, we live our lives differently than the majority of the continent. And so growing up in French Canada, we see that difference, and we understand ourselves, um, relating to that difference. And
Mhm.
so it's been the opposite process for me, moving in a culture that is so far from the one I grew up in. It really makes me see how alike we are with the rest of the continent. When I crave a coffee and a donut at midnight, but there's no Tim Hortons over there.
Right.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen. Even if you're like in the center of Helsinki, that's impossible. You won't find a coffee and a donut in the middle of Helsinki. Although I was in Spain recently and I stumbled on a Tim Hortons in Alicante.
Oh, okay.
It it was delicious. It was amazing. Um, I had like a culinary experience at this Spanish Tim Hortons.
Well, you'll have to like gorge on Tim Hortons while you're here.
No, but after the pandemic, like when the pandemic happened, I was in Finland. We
Mm,
bought a house, and because of the Canadian government putting a lot of restrictions on travel, it was really hard
yeah.
to come here for less than a month.
Mm,
Because we were forced to quarantine for 2 weeks if we wanted to enter Canada,
yeah.
until recently, and and so I couldn't leave my house for that long. So yeah, I spent until they changed those restrictions with the vaccines last October. As soon as they changed it, I came. It had been 2 years since I
Wow.
left, and I didn't come here for 2 years. It was really hard. But also, the one thing that blew my mind is how much stuff there is everywhere.
Oh,
Like having so much choice between like the simplest of product. You can like choose between the same brand, the same product in like 10 different small choices. But yeah, over there, there's too big company that owns everything, and there's not a lot of competition because
oh,
the population
that's
is so small.
yeah.
And so,
Well,
yeah, like for example, you want peanut butter. There's one type of peanut butter. You cannot find anything else. And yeah,
nobody
you cannot.
needs more than one kind of peanut butter.
That's not true. I miss my peanut butter.
I have a question from somebody in the audience. They wanted to know, in Wish Upon a Satellite, Ciel shares a kiss with their best friend, Steffi. And the questioner is asking, had you planned a potential romance between Ciel and Steffi when you wrote the first novel? Or was this a surprise to you too?
I did actually.
Oh.
I did. It was planned, like it's been planned for so many years.
Oh.
Because it's something I've seen happening so many times in trans communities, like having this proximity with one another. I just think it's something that a lot of people will find very relatable. I know I do. It's the idea spoke to me on a spiritual level, for real. And also the all the questioning related to it, and all the reconsideration on things that they thought were self-evident, especially growing up in our culture that puts so much emphasis on declaring your true authentic sexual orientation, and finding out that actually it's more complicated than that. For example, growing up, it's gonna sound a bit weird, but it was very clear to everyone around me growing up that I was gay. My two brothers are very macho, masculine guys. Yeah, they were roughhousing all the time while I was just creating outfits for my stuffed animals. That's my life as a kid. And so yeah, it was very clear around me growing up that I was gay, and it's been pretty clear to me too that I liked boys from a very young age, and so finding out that I had feelings for a girl, or for people who weren't boys in general, it was very confusing for me to find out that I wasn't as much of I wasn't as into boys as I thought, and yeah, when I wanted to depict that in the novel, especially the character who is perceived as being a very but yeah, it's that to just have this pressure to, to conform to the non-conformity, and just challenging that again and again, and yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun for me to talk about these things in the novel.
Well, I think readers are going to love it. So
yeah, they haven't read it.
We have to. They're going to love it. We have to leave it there.
It's not out.
Wish Upon a Satellite is coming out soon from Second Story Press, and you can go tomorrow night to Glad Day Bookshop on Church Street in Toronto to buy copies of Sophie's books, and she will sign them. She'll be there from 7 p.m. So thank you very much, Sophie. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. We got a question.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We got a question online on my page finally.
Okay.
So you did your outro. Oh my God. You were doing your outro and I saw a question.
What do they want to know?
Do we have time? Okay.
Yeah.
My question: how did you decide to make Ciel the main character of your novels instead of Steffi?
Okay.
That's a good question. How did that happen? It's been a while now that I started, these novels. When did it start? The first one was published in 2018. So I started writing it in 2017. And it was clear from the beginning I wanted to write something funny.
Mhm.
And also I wanted to write something taken from my comics, but that wasn't like my comics. So the idea was to just give the spotlight to the other main character of my comic. And it's also a character that feels closer to my own personality. I was a chaos child, and yet I felt a lot of kinship with that character, and yeah, it felt like the right thing to do to give that character more airtime, if you may. And I in my idea, it would create something that was lighter and funnier than the comics, which was what I was going for.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the reason. Thank you.
And the friendship between Ciel and Steffi is so sweet as well. It's so lovely the way they relate to each other. So that's good.
Yeah, we, one of my only regret with the the newest novel, Wish Upon a Satellite,
Mhm.
was that there wasn't as many scenes with the two of them as the two other novels. Which was it's always my 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 favorite parts when I write these novels is to write these two characters together.
Mhm.
They're just so much fun. They're like I think a lot of trans people would have liked to have a friendship like theirs. And I think that one of the takeaways from all these novels is that it's the importance of these trans friendships. And I'm gonna keep writing about trans friendships. For me, it's so important. I was talking about how it's a trans friend that basically was the catalyzer of my transition.
Mhm.
But later in my life, it's really my trans friends that just always empowered me and led me to become my better self, I guess. And yeah, I want to encourage that a lot.
Great. Any more questions?
I think that's it. No, that's
Okay.
that's it for real now. You don't
Okay.
you don't have to do your outro again.
I'm going to remind everybody that you're going to be at Glad Day tomorrow night and that they can buy Ciel in All Directions, Wish Upon a Satellite, and possibly some of your comics as well. I'm not sure. So, Sophie Labelle, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for putting this together. It was so much fun.
It was fun. Thanks.
Have a good night, everyone, and see you on the internet.